Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Today, we're going to cover an excerpt of, I think it's Fierce Fatty. All of them blend together. I even tried to film another portion of this, but YouTube didn't like it. So it's up for my members. If you guys don't know, I did launch memberships. And as I said, anything that's unmonetizable or too edgy is going there. So my members got their first video tonight. They got it really early. So if you're interested in that, I do have a video where I talked about it and I talked about all the benefits of membership. But if not, that's completely fine. No pressure. I will continue on. We're going to cover this aspect of what ruined Vinny's life, which this one has to do with having weight loss goals, I guess, at the center of your life. So let's talk about this, okay?
Okay, finally, my life goals revolved around weight loss or attempting to attain beauty. I dreamed about the day that I would be, quote, thin enough to wear a bikini or certain clothes sizes.
Okay. So this is where I can agree with Vinny. I've always said this is a very, very big sabotage when it comes to trying to lose weight. If you try to over visualize too much, especially as a very, very big person, it can be very distracting. Not to mention some of the other issues that YouTube doesn't want me to get into, but it does relate to those other things. So you would not want to be hyperfixated on your body or hyperfixated on these things. I personally, as somebody, I've lost 100 pounds of fat. I just showed a picture on my community page, which you guys loved, by the way. I appreciate all the support. I really do. That was over 2 years of effort. I've still been living my life throughout the time. But yes, my health was so bad that I had to make it a priority to lose weight sustainably. Especially last year, it was very difficult. And it did take a huge kind of precedent in my life where it was something I thought about on the daily. But I didn't think about it on the daily the entire year. Especially towards the fall, I focused on a lot of other things. And in the winter, I focused on a lot of other things. In the spring and the summer, though, it was major. It took a lot of effort. It was very difficult. As I've said many times, it's difficult to lose weight from a super morbidly obese perspective. So there will be times where you have to really, really focus on it. And then you have like an off season, which I would suggest doing the off season towards the fall and the winter because it's a little bit less metabolically easy to lose weight at that time. If you are hypo and if you're super morbidly obese, it's easier in the spring and the summer. Now, for me, now that I'm not super morbidly obese, those seasonal ties, they're not as strong. So it's becoming more typical. And I found that I have a more typical weight loss series where it seems like I can do it for about 3 months and then I hit a set point, then I have to stay there for about a month and then I can go again. So it might not be as seasonal for me anymore. So you have to also be aware that your journey can evolve with time. But anyways, the point is, at Vinny's size, Vinny, at least to me, from this angle, seems to be super morbidly obese. Vinny would need to probably focus on it for it to happen. Okay? So I guess they never got past that stage. And they did a lot of visualization, which I don't agree with. I've said it many times. From a super morbidly obese place, just don't. Because you don't know what you're going to look like. And if you don't look exactly how you picture it, then that itself can be a bit of a sabotage to your weight loss effort. I'll put it to you that way. It can make you want to stop. So, anyways, let's continue.
Sizes. Other life aspirations were secondary. Thinness was the ultimate goal. Thinness was the ultimate goal. That was the pinnacle of humanness, you could not say anything to me if I...
So I always have to say, you need to not put aesthetics first. Health is the most important. I will say that till the cows come home, because the ultimate goal is not thinness. The ultimate goal is health, which thinness is a part of, but it's still under the umbrella of health, and health is what is most important. Because yes, you can try to get to a thin place with unhealthy means, but that is not what you want to do, because it makes it very likely that you're going to rebound, which you don't want to do. It's not good for you to gain and lose the weight over and over and over. It's not good for your system to do that. You want to your best ability to go slow and steady, one and done. That would be ideal, is to have a one and done situation, because it is harsh on the body to gain and lose weight over and over. Now, remember, if you're super morbidly obese, you likely have some shade of hypo going on, and the seasons do affect that. So if you're in that category, I always suggest look at yourself year over year. How far along are you from a year ago? Because the seasons will be the same a year ago. So you can kind of keep better track, because you do fluctuate. But if you're super morbidly obese, you know you fluctuate if the wind blows a different way. You can just put on a cool 5 to 10 pounds of water for no reason. So yeah, just be aware that that can happen in a weight loss journey when you're at that big level. But you don't need to trip about that, is all I'm trying to say. Overall, though, you want to be year over year at a lower level, then you know you're making progress. And that's where you're at. You know, if you look back to a year ago and you weigh a lot more, that's bad. Does that make sense? So that's how you have to think about it. But if you weigh, like, for me, winter of 2022, I was weighing like 370. 375, something like that. And maybe even a bit more, maybe even 380. But I think probably in 370. It's probably like 375. But in 2023, I was weighing around 350, 348, somewhere like that. So that was some progress. Then winter of 2024, I was weighing like, you know, I was super bloated right after Christmas. I got up to like 328, but it went way down to like 309 by the end of January. Something like that. I don't have the numbers exactly, but you can see that each year it was less. And then as the seasons progressed and stuff, then it got even less. So right now I did plateau and I gained a bit. I don't think it was fat though, but I'm around 285 right now. I kind of hover around there, but I also stay very hydrated. You know, I'm not acting like I'm in a wrestling team kind of thing, you know, and I'm getting up earlier. So I'm probably about the same as that 280 that I had when I was getting up later. So anyways, the point is, you have to kind of be aware of those fluctuations, is what I'm trying to say, and look year over year. That's very helpful, because it's going to take a long time if you're really big. And I think that that needs to be normalized, because otherwise you'll end up like Vinny and you'll give up and then it will never happen. Okay?
I had reached that goal of thinness, because the way that I looked at it, it was like, get to the level of thinness, then
It's terrible. You have to live your life as much as you can. Like I said, though, there will be times where you have to make it your top focus, but not 24/7, 365. That's not how it works. I don't think that that's how it should work, because you do have to focus on other stuff sometimes. And that's being realistic. I'm trying to offer a realistic path, if that makes sense. So that's okay, you know.
you could unlock all of these other life achievements. Get to thinness.
It's not true. So that isn't true. But you do need to have your health. And if you're pissing away your health because you don't care about being super morbidly obese and you want to just keep eating and eating and eating, then you're going to have a problem with all your other goals. So it is important, but also too, because it takes such a long time, you got to live your life. That's how you're going to get it done. It's all a part of how it's been sustainable. It's really some of the physical things I've done, some of the diet things I've done. You know, I've talked about the thyroid protocol a lot, and it's the mental side behind it and some of the mindsets I've had that have kept it sustainable, as well as putting on copious amounts of muscle and making muscle building a major part. That's also very important. So, yeah, you got to do it. It's got to be sustainable. You want the weight to be mostly off to stay, okay? And you want most of your fluctuations to be water from a super morbidly obese perspective.
Then you can be an astronaut. Get to thinness, then you could be a celebrity. Get to thinness, then you could have an amazing partner. Get to so get to thinness was the thing I needed to get to in order to start my life and continue on with my life. You know, be an astronaut or have a partner that's kind to me or wear a bikini. I couldn't see that was possible unless I hit this first achievement. So all of those other achievements were tertiary because this is the only thing that mattered. You know, I couldn't.
So I want you guys to see the absolute failure of this mindset. It does not work. Okay. I have to say it. It doesn't work. It's a dead mindset. It doesn't work.
Fathom that those other things could be done in a fat body. Or if they were, it was like I don't know. It was like I was driving a car, but I'd never passed my driving test, or I'd never learned how to drive a car. I was just driving the car. And so you know that you'd be driving the car really shit.
No, that type of feeling, how much you weigh, it has nothing to do with that feeling. That's like that imposter syndrome. You could feel that at any weight. It doesn't matter. And sometimes I feel that way anyways. And I haven't even lost the weight completely, but also like I probably would still feel that way in certain situations, even being thin. It has nothing to do with your body size.
So you know those goals, if you did meet those goals of being an astronaut, you were a shitty astronaut because you had a bigger body. So think about the energy. If you've achieved other things in your life, the energy that it takes to achieve something really big. Like for me, like my biggest achievement, I perceive like one of the hardest things is my TEDx talk. It took a lot. And I think becoming thin temporarily took more. It did. It took more effort and consistency and constant thought and action.
You may not have been doing it right. Because it can be that way from a super morbidly obese perspective. It can, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. When you really are that big, it can be that way. I always, I describe it on here because I'm cheesy and gay and I'm a Swiftie, but I say it like to get out of super morbid obesity, you have to do a whole ass Eras tour. It's a lot. You got to do a stage dive. You got to have a hope, a wish, and a prayer. You got to track the seasons. You got to get your calendar out. I mean, it's a lot. You probably got to do some, magic juju to make it happen. You definitely got to, it's difficult. So I understand what Vinny is saying there. It is difficult. However, Vinny, I'm not super morbidly obese anymore. It's not even close to how that used to be. My weight loss this year versus last year, it's so different. It was so much harder last year than it is now. I think I'm in more of a middling zone of weight loss where it's easy. It's kind of like a second trimester of pregnancy or something. It's like the first one is hard and the last one is hard. Because where I'm at right now, it's really just about kind of coasting a bit and just using the habits you've built. Your body is healthier. Like my body is healthier now. I'm less hypo than I used to be. So I'm less hungry most of the time. And it's very easy for me at this point. I just go to the gym. I count the calories. I just do it. I'm not that hungry. There are times where I get hungry, where I'm kind of approaching those set points, which we talked about set points yesterday on the channel, where I need to take a breather and not lose for a bit. And then after usually about a month, my appetite will go back down, and then I can lose for like another 2 months. And I'm just kind of coasting in this. And I think I have less of a seasonal effect too. So I can probably continue until the rest of the year and into next year, you know? So I'm doing a lot more of body comp this year, where it's like I still focus on building muscle. And because I'm healthier, my lean tissues are kind of filling in a bit more, like my skin is changing and things like that, where it's a little bit better because I'm not as hypo. So because I'm not as fat. So all those things kind of work together to where it's a better situation. So if you would have just gone long enough and stayed at a lower weight for a long enough time, it wouldn't be like that the rest of the way. Now, what I will say is I have seen my friend Eric. He's really on the opposite end of the spectrum where he's trying to lose that last 20 pounds. That is challenging, but typically because to do it sustainably, you have to work it off. You have to go to the gym and do pretty hard workouts and work it off. Otherwise, it can kind of like come back on really fast kind of thing. Or you can lose a lot of muscle. And so he's doing it very sustainably, about a pound a week, like in that zone. And he's working his ass off at the gym. But I think that part of the journey is also hard. But it's more just because of the brute force training aspect. And it can take a very long time. Where am I right now? It really isn't. So I think you just got to get out of supermorbid obesity, and it's a lot easier. Absolutely.
For a long time to become temporarily thin, that it was more effort than to do my TEDx, which was a huge effort. It took my TEDx, the whole process was a year process, and it was just massive. It was massive. And so what have I got to show for the amount of effort I put in with being temporarily thin is disordered eating, body hate, gobs of shame, because then when I stopped being temporarily, I say thin, but you know, I wasn't thin, which is, you know, because we're never thin enough, are we? Right? Yeah. The amount of effort for what? For what?
I think there's probably dietary things you were doing wrong, which we don't know because Vinny is not like putting it all out there. If Vinny like shared the diet plan that they did, I could sit there and probably say why it didn't work. But I don't know on a physical level. But it seems like from this video alone, the mental side was not there. And I do feel like there is some toxic ritualistic behavior going on, some rumination going on still. And I told you guys, when they do those studies where they say 95% of people, they diet and it doesn't work, look at the mindset of this person. This is not somebody who's serious about it. You have to have a grounded, rooted in reality mindset, a reasoned mindset with sustainable diet, and in my opinion, at least a knowledge of hormone health and being watchful of that hormone health. And you got to be patient. You know, when I was super morbidly obese, as I was losing, it felt like I was drowning. and I had to sit in that drowning or the water's like right under my nose, and I had to slowly have it come down and just stay very still and have it come down slowly, 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 slowly. That's how it felt to lose, because it's very challenging from that very high level, which is why most people that get to super morbid obesity, they don't get out, because it does take quite a bit of tenacity to get out. So that's why I always promote prevention of getting into super morbid obesity, but I will always promote that there is a way out and there is hope, and you do not have to be that way, and you should not accept it. Okay? But that's the feeling. It's rough.
What? Why?
For your health. That's why.
But then the amount of effort I put into my TEDx, now I have a TEDx. I have something to show for it. A real tangible thing that I'm proud of. And yeah, I was proud of being temporarily thin when I was temporarily thin. And then, I undid. And, then I was...
Because you're putting too much value into how you looked, which is not a healthy mindset. It's not a good mindset for sustainable weight loss. It just isn't. It just isn't. It's like a siren's call. It ain't it.
Like, embarrassed that I used to be temporarily thin, and now look at me, I'm a mess. So fun. So yeah. So what it looks like now, and now that I've spent a lot of time unlearning this bullshit, and not just anti-fat stuff. Like I've spent a lot of time in therapy and learning different systems of oppression, and I can tell, like I feel like anti-fatness, obviously I've worked on the most, but it's all interconnected. And I also still have a ton of work to do when it comes to other systems of oppression, because I know that they're affecting me and they are harming me, and I'm therefore harming others because I have not yet understood and unlearned completely, racism or ableism or, et cetera, right? So maybe in 10 years' time, I'll be like, oh, this is 10 years ago. You never guessed what I was doing. But it's, anti-fat bias is not a standalone topic. It's intersectional, and the more that you unlearn other systems of oppression, the more that all areas of your life and humanity is better, right? So
it's totally different. Pretty much in any way it can be different, it's different. It's not similar whatsoever.
Okay, so
I'm going to stop there. Let it be. I'm trying to get a little bit of control over the length of my videos on this channel. But thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, please, if you liked it. And definitely let me know your thoughts. And just so you know, I feel like I need to clarify certain things with my comments and stuff. If for whatever reason we disagree, I do not take things personally on this channel. Typically, sometimes I wake up a little salty after the gym. I'm not going to lie. I told you I get a little estrogen-y, a little serotonin-y. I get a little bitchified after the gym sometimes. So sometimes I could be a little bitchy. But typically, like, it's not personal. Like, to me, when I'm commenting about topics, this channel is not really a personal channel in that sense. Like, if I'm on my actual personal channel, I will get sassy and I will get personal and I will get all nasty. Typically on here, though, I just mirror. So if somebody tells me that I'm delusional, for example, in a comment, I would feel free to say back to them that they're delusional. Does that make sense? So I kind of try to reciprocate in comments. You guys know I'm not a people pleaser, but just know that if I disagree with you, it doesn't mean that I hate you. That's not a vibe. That's not how I think about this channel. I'm always on topic on this channel. I'm always thinking about it. Somebody tripped out because I disagreed that cars are why obesity is an issue in America, that cars and driving I don't agree at all. We had cars in the United States, at least since the 1920s, and the obesity epidemic only really started after 1980. But, you know, that person got very offended that I said that I said that's clearly not the problem because we've had cars a long time before people started getting fat. And they got all butthurt about it. So I just want people to know, like, if I have a disagreement like that, it's literally not personal. I've even had some quips and arguments about things with people, and they're like, oh my gosh, don't take it personally on this channel, because it isn't. We're talking about the topics. Like, when I was asking, like, those of you who think a systemic issue is the biggest reason why people are fat, give me an idea or challenge my assumption on this or challenge my assertion, because I don't think it's a systemic issue. I don't. I've said it many times, and usually the arguments are still terrible. So I have yet to see an argument for systemic causes of obesity actually work. But I'm looking for one, and if I find something strong, I can have the humility for it. But if you give me an idea, this is a challenging space, okay? It's like, I may challenge what you say and you can push back, but it's not personal like that. I'm not, this isn't like that. I don't know if people don't understand that. I guess people aren't used to it. People aren't used to creators pushing back at all in their audience, but I'm not a people pleaser. I'm introverted. I don't know if this is an introverted industry to be doing, but oh well, I am what I am, and it is what it is. So I guess it's a little different over here. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I appreciate you. I do, even if we disagree. I do. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your day, night, whatever. Peace.